You ever wonder why it takes so long for a promising new medicine to get from a lab to your local pharmacy? It's a frustration we all feel, right? We hear about these incredible breakthroughs, but then the wait for them can take years, sometimes even decades. Well, what if that was all about to change? Today, we're going to dive into a groundbreaking new paper that reveals how a new kind of AI is tackling one of the biggest bottlenecks in medical research. And yeah, it could fundamentally change how quickly we find the next cure.
All right, so here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll look at the central problem, what we're calling the clinical trial bottleneck. Then we'll see why the old ways of trying to solve this were kind of like searching in the dark. After that, we'll introduce the star of our show, this brand new kind of AI. Then comes the fun part. We'll look at its real-world results. And finally, we'll wrap up by exploring what this really means for the future of medicine for all of us.
So every new treatment, no matter how amazing, has to pass through this intense process called a clinical trial. It is the final, most important step to make sure a drug is both safe and effective. But this critical stage, it's also one of the slowest.
So, what's the holdup? Well, a lot of the time, it comes down to a challenge that's surprisingly difficult: finding the right people. You see, for any given trial, researchers need to find patients who match a very specific and often super complex set of criteria. And that process has been a huge, hidden obstacle for a long, long time. This whole process is called clinical trial recruitment. Just imagine being a researcher with a checklist of dozens of highly specific rules. Now imagine trying to find a match by manually digging through hundreds, maybe thousands of patient medical records. According to the paper we're looking at, this incredibly labor-intensive chart review is a massive bottleneck, slowing down the entire journey of a new cure. So, if the problem is so obvious, you're probably thinking, okay, haven't we tried using technology to fix this already? And the answer is, of course, yes. But as we're about to see, the old ways of trying to find patients have consistently fallen short.
And this slide really breaks down why those past approaches just didn't work. On one side, you have the old-school manual review. It's incredibly slow, expensive, and of course, it's prone to human error. But then on the other side, you have the previous AI models, and they had their own huge flaws. They were text-only, which means they couldn't read crucial visual data, like lab results in a table or notes on a medical scan. They also had pretty limited reasoning abilities for complex rules, and honestly, they were a total nightmare to integrate with existing hospital software.
The research paper itself really puts it best. It says that past attempts just weren't reliable or scalable enough to solve the problem in the real world. So they were a good idea in theory, but they just didn't work in practice.
But that is exactly where this new research comes in. The paper introduces a totally new, revolutionary AI pipeline. I think the best way to think of it is as the ultimate super-powered research assistant, designed specifically to overcome all those failures of the past.
So how does this thing actually work? Well, it's a really powerful three-step process. First, it ingests everything, the complete, unprocessed patient record. We're talking text, scans, tables, even messy handwriting. Then it uses a powerful multimodal search to instantly find the most relevant pages. That just means it can look at text and images at the exact same time to find what it needs. Finally, and this is the secret sauce, it uses advanced reasoning to systematically check every single eligibility rule. It's understanding the logic, not just matching keywords.
Now, the paper highlights three key innovations, which I like to call its superpowers. First, it sees everything. Because it's multimodal, it can read visual data like a chart right next to a doctor's note and understand how they're connected. Second, it thinks critically. This new system can handle really complex rules like patient is eligible unless they have condition X and are taking medication Y. It gets the logic. And third, it works anywhere. And this is a huge deal. It doesn't need custom integration, which means it can be rolled out easily across different hospitals without a massive IT project.
Okay, so a great theory is one thing, but does it actually work in the chaos of the real world? Well, the researchers put this AI to the test in real clinical settings across 30 different sites and 36 diverse trials. And let me tell you, the results were stunning.
So in these real-world trials, the AI pipeline hit an 87% accuracy rate. Now, what that means is it was consistently making reliable, high-quality decisions about who is eligible, even when it was dealing with messy, incomplete patient records. That is a level of reliability that just was not possible before. And here's the number that really matters for speeding things up. The system showed an 80% improvement in efficiency over the traditional manual chart reviews.
This isn't just a small step forward, this is a massive leap in speed and productivity.
So what does that 80% improvement actually look like in practice? Well, with this AI, clinical staff could review a patient's eligibility in under 9 minutes on average. Think about that. A task that could easily take an hour or more is now done in the time it takes to go grab a cup of coffee.
And to top it all off, when they tested it on a standardized public dataset, this is what academics use to compare different AIs against each other. This new method set a new state-of-the-art record with 93% accuracy. So it's not just a practical tool, it is scientifically best in class.
Okay, so we have a tool that's faster, more accurate, and way easier to scale. But what does this actually mean for the future? This is about more than just efficiency. It's about accelerating the entire pipeline of medical innovation.
This really gets to the end game here. For patients, it means potentially getting access to new, life-saving treatments much faster. For researchers, it dramatically cuts down the delays and costs that can kill a promising study before it even gets off the ground. It also means more patients from more diverse backgrounds can be found and included in research. Ultimately, every single cure, every new therapy could reach us sooner because this one critical bottleneck is finally being solved.
This research really leaves us with a powerful final thought. We often imagine cures being discovered in a petri dish or under a microscope, but this technology suggests that the next great medical breakthrough might not just be about finding a new molecule, but about finding the right patient at exactly the right time. What if the path to a cure is finally cleared not just by scientists in a lab, but by a truly intelligent algorithm?